chance to claw. See what we did there? They're way back to 500. They're going to have to contend, though, with the Lakers. Their big three that would go for just the 11th time all year. And since we're talking Luka and Ant, the latest MVP straw poll, it's been released. Who's closing the gap in the final sprint of the season? NBA Today starts right now. And Shanae,
yes,
clear 7th Avenue. Beep, beep. We need to clear West 34th Street because vroom, vroom, the motorcade is rolling through.
He's not just rolling through, he has a parking spot there.
He has a parking spot at Madison Square Garden, and that is where we go now. GQ recently did a story with Cade, and he says, I want to be on the Olympic team coming up. I think I am the best player in America, and Shanae, he showed that. His performance, it was reminiscent of that. Starting with setting up his big man, Jalen Duren, and then he carried the load.
I'm not going to lie. The Knicks came out. They had the energy. They had the crowd there. People were there on time. It did not matter. Cade Cunningham, he looked like a grown man amongst boys.
Yeah, without Jalen Duren, he still got the job done. Cade Cunningham had 24 in the first half, and then he kept it going here. Just MVP.
It's not fair because he brings the ball up as a point guard. He can finish through like a forward, and then he hit the mid-range like a shooting guard. He's flexing all the muscles.
And then the next Pistons possession, he splits the defender. What do we say? Out below.
Business decision.
Yeah.
Split. Gotcha. Banana split. Hey.
What a finish there by Cade.
And the flex.
Putting on a little bit of a
This
show
meant something
there.
to him.
And then letting everybody know it as well. And then Cade.
Oh, man.
Crossing up Sohan.
Oh, man.
No way. Hits a step back there. He finished with 42 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds. The Pistons roll over the New York Knicks, and they sweep the season series against New York. And I think this deserves a little bit of a closer look here because Cade, he was the king of New York last night. He made franchise history, right? He became the first Detroit player with 40 points, 10 dimes, 5 threes in a game.
Wow.
And he finished his Manhattan masterclass with his second 40-point, 10-assist game of the season. And with that, he joins Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas as the only Pistons to do that multiple times in a single season. So already in an elite class there in Detroit history. And today we don't see visiting players throw garden parties like this very often,
we don't.
Right? He's just the third visiting player with a 40-10 game along with Allen Iverson and LeBron. Here's his head coach, J.B. Bickerstaff.
I mean, he's a superstar, and there's no doubt about it. You know, it's hard for me to think of 5 guys in this league that does more on both ends than he does. He never says no. He never complains, you know, and he goes out and gets the job done. Superstars are people that impact winning at a level that he has.
A lot of games mean more for different reasons and stuff. Obviously, this was a great performance. I'm very happy with how I played last night, or tonight, how the whole squad played. Big win for us, missing our big fellas and stuff.
Cade's a great player, and obviously, we scout against him, and he's obviously our priority. But great players have big games. You can slow them down fast enough, or even at all.
High praise there, particularly from J.B. Bickerstaff, as we say hello to our NBA champion, Iman Shumpert, our reporter covering the Pistons for us, Vince Goodwill. Vince, I want to start with you here because you were in the building. You talked to Cade after he put on a show. What did he tell you?
Well, we talked to Cade earlier in the preseason about MVP aspirations, and he said all of those things have to come in the vein of winning. I don't want to talk about MVP right now. So after he finished his media session, I said, hey, is it time to revisit that conversation? And he said, I don't want to campaign for myself. You guys as the voters should be able to see who has an impact on winning. And then a few seconds later, he said, I think I am the MVP. And I don't care if you disagree with me. And I think the numbers are starting to bear that out.
Numbers are starting to bear that out. I mean, Shanae, do you agree?
Look, I understand that there are some, game requirements amongst the favorites in MVP with SGA and Jokic, but you should create some room for Cade in the conversation. That was a statement win yesterday. And I mentioned that he can flex all muscles when he plays because he can play any position. He brings the ball up. We have a couple of plays right here that shows you exactly what he's able to do. Here, he takes on the whole entire New York Knicks squad. It does not matter, but he draws and kicks to the corner to Duncan Robinson. This is the man that is number 2 in assists right now in the NBA, but he can also do that all by himself. He can really manipulate mismatches. So right here, he gets the switch he wants because he's tall. He's 6'8", he's 6'9", and he has tempo where he cannot be rushed. And this is where he does his damage in the mid-range. He can shoot up. He can shoot right over you and have a beautiful follow-through, but this is where he is becoming an MVP. When he's knocking down shots like this from 3, I think he had 5 threes yesterday, hit you with a clean step back right here between the leg. No one's coming to set a pick and roll because they know he is excellent when he's on an island. He was on a heater. You can see the flames right there. Cade has really developed his game alongside his team. They have an NBA best record, 41-13. They're trying to protect home court for the playoffs, but look at how many points he has created. A masterclass, 73. Again, top in assists, masterful in how he controls the scoring. He just is a one-man show at this point.
Yeah, and really, folks, we're starting to pay attention to what Detroit is bringing, not just as a regular season story, but something that we could see deep into the postseason. Because, Shump, as the jerseys behind you indicate, I'm sure you saw plenty of players try to make a statement in the Garden during your time with the New York Knicks. What kind of message did Cade send to the rest of the league last night when he does something like this?
I think Cade Cunningham sent a message to the New York Knicks that he has no fear of them, and he is not really bothered by seeing them in the playoffs. I think he's been thinking about it all summer, and I'm going to be honest. As a guy that played for the Knicks and a guy that goes to support the Knicks as much as I can, I do not want them playing Detroit. I would much rather somebody else take them out if I'm the Knicks. I say this because of the matchups. We start talking about matchups again. When you look at Detroit on paper, you start to say they don't have bona fide scorers around Cade Cunningham.
Right.
But when you go into a game and you know that JD's sitting out, they got other guys sitting out, and Cade Cunningham comes in there and his eyes light up, and he go off for 40 and 10, and everybody's bouncing around, everybody's having fun. I don't want to see the man in the Garden no more. So somebody else, please get them out the way. I don't want to see them match up with them.
Especially because it's not just one game, right? When you look at the New York Knicks over the course of the season, they have struggled with these Detroit Pistons here. You can see the point differential over the 3 games that they've played here. Vinny, you're in the Knicks locker room. You're talking to players here. Do you get the sense that the Knicks have just a Pistons problem, or are they talking about something larger that's brewing for a team that has really lofty playoff expectations?
Yes. As in both.
Yes,
they got problems. They got a Pistons problem. They have an internal problem, especially when you look at Karl Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is supposed to be the guy that is the great equalizer, especially when you look at the Knicks having secondary scoring, the Pistons not. But in these games, he has not been able to find his way. He missed the second game where they lost by 37, but last night he was at full health, and he had problems with Paul Reed, a third-string center. He just didn't look comfortable. Now, the crazy thing is, Mike Brown says Karl Towns is comfortable. Karl Towns feels like he will be the scapegoat if things do not go well, because nobody else has the responsibility in that locker room. That is a problem that the Knicks have to address between now and the start of the playoffs.
The difference from last year to this year is the fact that Karl Anthony Towns, his touches have gone down, but also multiple players on the Knicks' touches have gone down. You've created more of an egalitarian system, but it feels like he's maybe not at the center of the universe, whereas last year it was like, get the ball to Jalen Brunson, get the ball to Cat. Now it's more of an offensive system that involves everyone, but this is where I get a little bit frustrated because he is someone that is tremendously talented. He is someone that can score on the post, that can knock down a 3. He was, a couple years the best proclaimed shooting big man in the entire association. At some point, you can deviate and flex your muscle and say, give me the ball. And I do think that that's where I, as a player, and Shump, you can sort of speak to it. As a player, your coach might call a set and you can deviate and say, I've got a mismatch, put me where I want, give me the ball. And so I do think he's trying to be a good player under a coach, but at sometimes I want him to flex his muscles more and just say, I am a part of this system and I deserve to be competent in it.
What do you think of that, Shump?
I just think that, again, to speak on what Sinead's saying, you have to, as a big man, you have to rim run. You have to duck in. You have to find little moments that you're making stuff happen as a basketball player. I think right now